What's going on, my beautiful black people? It's God Molecular, here to spread the religion of Mofadai, which is the religion of no religion, here to dismantle and disassemble all religion by the year 2034. I thank you guys for tuning in. I come as Amen, reincarnated this new age, that of the 226th dynasty, which stemmed from King Solomon, who held a descendant by the name of Haile Selassie I, who occupied that of the 225th dynasty. Three salutes. Ready? Go. And that is in tribute to Amen, as he was known as the Most High and the most logical being or deity at his time. I come as him reincarnated to usher in the new age of Aquarius, also known as the age of the Six, as we have transpired from the age of the Pisces, also known as the age of the Seven. And that is as of August 21st, 2017, titled Day of the Great American Eclipse. I thank you guys for listening. I thank you guys for joining. I thank you guys for tuning in. So, the topic today is, do aliens, extraterrestrials, aliens, whatever you want to call it, are they real? Do they exist? And if so, are black people aliens? Are they real? Through us, do they exist? I get this question a lot. A lot of people ask me this question, you know. If you listen to my audios, and I encourage everyone who's listening now, I encourage you guys to scroll down my timeline and listen to my audios, whether you're on your way to sleep, whether you're working, you having your headphones, something of that nature, listen to my audios, because I will endarken you, not enlighten, but I will endarken you, and I will bring you into a higher consciousness, a higher truth, a higher understanding of this reality, which deals with your most logical sense of progressive intuition, which is what's most important, because that hints towards the spiritual, right? The spiritual is what's manifested from the imagination. And the imagination could guide you throughout this entire cosmos, which is how things like the pyramids and things of that nature this is how they were created. Imagination. Imagination could be so broad. It could be so broad, And as you progress in life and deal with this society could capture and box in your imagination, thus limiting your understanding and limiting your imagination and stunting your intuition. And what's most important as you go on this spiritual journey, what's most important, like I always say, what's most important, doesn't matter what science you come across, what philosophy, what geometry, what astronomy, it doesn't matter what any of that means. It doesn't matter what type of form of information that you come across. What's most important and most imperative to your highest consciousness is what you can see, what you can bear witness to, things you can see with your own two eyes. That is what is going to impact you on a cosmic comprehensive level, to the point where you're able to present that, whatever you see and bear witness to, you're going to be able to present that to others. And others are going to be able to see it and bear witness to it, and it's going to raise their consciousness, thus forcing a bonding. And you look at the macrocosmic understanding of bonding, meaning down to the macromolecular level or the molecular level, and you see that bonding is very necessary even amongst atoms, is very necessary in order for things to catch a progressive vibration. In order for things to emulate a progressive vibration, they must bond. And this is what intelligence does. Intelligence bonds us. Intelligence puts us in a perspective or the position to ignite the unity of humanity. A lot of people, they talk about saving the world and, presenting consciousness. And this is what sets the Al-Kebunakians apart from the rest of humanity at this specific point in time. Is because we're going to have the proof. We're going to have the proof that you can research and look into with your own two eyes of a new knowledge that represents a new age, that represents a new race, a new coming to all of humanity that is going to progress all of humanity. So, to people like us of a higher intelligence, you can't say that all isn't going to be saved. You can't save all black people and things of that nature. Because the cosmos is going to move in our favor to the point where things are going to become undeniable to the naked eye. And that's what's important in liberation. And that is going to cause for each and every last black soul to be saved. That is what the Al-Kebunakians' mission is. That is what our mission is to save each and every last black individual on this planet. And we have divine cosmic movement and understanding and intellect to back us up. Planets are going to move. Atoms are going to rearrange. Cells are going to reposition. Organelles are going to form to the point where they're going to become undeniable to people. Imagine looking in the sky and seeing not only the moon, but you see Pluto. Right there in the sky, sitting so close to the earth like it's the moon. And imagine you seeing right next to it Eris, which is planet Z. So close. This is going to become our reality within the next 14 to 15 years. In 2034, planet Pluto and planet Eris is going to be so close to this Earth to the point where we're going to be able to see it like it's the moon, like we see the moon every night. And that's going to shatter the reflection of this reality as we progress further into the age of Aquarius, my beautiful black people. So it's important to intuitively comprehend the knowledge that you accept at this specific point in time. Pay attention to worldly events because they represent my coming. Me as Amun-Ra. Me as the Messiah. The prophet that is here to save this entire planet. And I have proof of these things. I can prove it to you why I am who I am, why I am the one to save this planet. That's not to place myself up on a pedestal. That's not to say that I am superior over you, more holy than you. That's not to even place myself as your leader or ruler, because I am just a man, just as you are. I'm just a human. And I myself, I'm still trying to figure out the path of destined utmost reality. As long as someone can comprehend the signs, the movement, the intelligence, As long as someone can comprehend these things, this world could be catapulted into a higher sense of excellency. And us as beautiful melanoid people, that should be what's most important because it deals with our compassion. Compassion and love is the keys to our survival and sustainability as people. Compassion and love. That is the key. It's in our genetics. And compassion and love deals with all of humanity. So we cannot be selfish in our consciousness because it's not in us genetically to do so. Even if you break down particles, you have heterogeneous particles and homogeneous particles. Heterogeneous means particles that are made up of the same substances. Heterogeneous means, heterogeneous means particles that are made up of different substances, and homogeneous are particles that are made up of the same substances. This is biochemistry. A good way to look at that is imagine homosexuals and heterosexuals. Homosexuals are two genders of the same coming together and doing what they do. Heterosexuals are different genders coming together and doing what they do. It's a good way to have this outlook and apply that outlook to particles because you deal with crystals, right? Crystals and copper. Copper is a crystal. That's why when you look at a lot of crystal jewelry, a lot of things that a lot of these conscious jewelry makers create, they tend to use crystals to outline their jewelry and to shape their jewelry. And I'm sorry, copper. Copper is a crystal, and copper, they tend to use copper to outline and shape their jewelries and things of that nature. But as the Al-Kebunakians, we study what happens when sperm touches copper, because that is a scientific mystery to this day. At some point in time, there was an actual birth control to where they used copper and inserted it into the woman's ovaries or the female vagina. And this copper would destroy semen. And scientists did not know why that would happen. And it correlates with crystals and the positioning of crystals. Through the close packed perspective and how crystals lines up together and creates a cubic lattice. It's very imperative that we understand this positioning of our reality. But even though that may be true, it's more important to pay attention to what you can see and bear witness to with your own two eyes. So this is why the discussion of aliens is important to the human consciousness, right? Because aliens have infiltrated the black conscious, so-called conscious community. And I'm only using the word conscious because that hits the immediate identification of what the brain can comprehend as being someone who's awakened. Even though I don't like to use that word. But it hits that immediate sense. So aliens has infiltrated, and I say infiltrated because a brother such as myself, who's highly intellectual, highly intelligent, a brother who deal with a higher sense of consciousness, something that propels my intelligence to what's known to be the most high intelligence. Aliens have infiltrated the black conscious community simply because a lot of knowledge that these brothers present and display, a lot of these things come to a conclusion. They come to an end. They hit a glass ceiling. and they can't explain the creation of pyramids, even though they have things like the Medu Neter and the Rosetta Stone, and how the Rosetta Stone was used to translate, or how the Rosetta Stone was used to, I guess, um, figure out the Medu Neter. They use things of this nature, and they say that ancient Egypt was, or the hieroglyphs that was in ancient Egypt and things of that time and things of that nature, they were figured out by these Egyptologists. I heard a brother the other day, just scrolling Facebook, and a brother said, this is why you have to watch the imagination. And once you become a Kemetic consciousness, you can't cannot lean more on your feminine sense of imagination. You have to deal with your logic. Those who are Kemetic scholars and the so-called Kemites, they tend to lean more on a feminine understanding, which deals with the higher imagination, as opposed to the masculine understanding, which deals with logic in the imaginatory sense. It deals with a logical sense of imagination. Even brothers, beautiful black gods. So I heard a brother the other day state that these Egyptologists were able to make out the letter A because of a bird, and how this bird would say, ah, ah, ah. And that pictorial in the hieroglyphic establishment of ancient Kemet allowed them to translate or interpret the understanding of the letter A. But you have someone like myself who have to challenge that, right? Simply because I'm a supreme scientist. And what do supreme scientists observe and analyze the most? That is sex, right? We observe and analyze sex the most. It's very imperative to the higher consciousness. I wish this fucking dog would stop barking. It's fucking up my fucking lecture. But that involves the higher consciousness. There we go. And in that involvement, you have to consider the undisguised energy of sex. And I call the undisguised energy of sex a moan, right? The moan that comes from male and female during sex, because that could also explain the utterance of a letter. Because when you have sex, you tend to say, uh, 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 uh. And this, I would give more of the credibility to the establishment or understanding of that letter than in fucking animal. We can't exclude or exile the consciousness and the reality of man. We can't do that when we're speaking on a higher consciousness. So aliens, do aliens exist? Are aliens real? Do they impact our reality? Have they ever existed? And if they do exist, as in the words of Brother Polite, what are they doing for black people today? You have to give credit to brothers like that. Very intelligent brother. Even though he's what I consider a false prophet, but he's a very intelligent brother. So when you're dealing with a higher consciousness, a higher understanding, those who believe in aliens have to ask yourself, is a UFO sighting, because I borne witness and I've seen with my own two eyes a UFO, I'm not denying that. Is a UFO sighting the same as an actual alien? Is that an alien? Because a UFO could be man-made, it could be created by man. And an alien obviously cannot, or extraterrestrial obviously cannot be created by man. Or could they? And after you ask yourself these questions, you always have to revert back to your logical sense. Your logical sense deals with the most imperative senses amongst all five. And that is what you can see, which deals with 95% of the information that you accept. Have I seen an alien? Can I see one? I'm not talking about in your dreams, no. I'm talking about as clear as day, as clear as you can see the sun, as clear as you can see a moving car, as clear as you can see your fingers, your arms, your feet. Have you seen an alien? A lot of people may say, yes, I've seen one. Yes, I've seen an alien. But to those people, I have to ask, why are they so evasive? Right? Because if they are beings of intellect, and we can give them that respect because we're beings of intellect, if they are beings of intellect, they will understand of the importance of making themselves real in this reality. And what makes something real in this reality is when something outside of yourself understands it. Meaning that if these aliens are real, you will be able to introduce this alien to someone other than yourself. You will be able to introduce this alien to someone else. You look at a lot of these stories of alien abductions, and every one of these stories hints on, being abducted by aliens. And yes, I've seen an alien and the alien is real, but none of the cases can present to you the question or the reality that I just presented, which is, I've introduced this alien to a friend of mine, or I introduced this alien to a family member, or I brought this alien to work with me, or I introduced this alien to someone outside of myself. None of these cases involves this scenario or this instance. And to me, that is unintelligent because it does not deal with this reality. Because in this reality, it takes two things in order to be an actuality. It takes two concepts, two constructions. This is why in your Bible, even in your Bible, it states when two comes together, God is in the midst, I believe. That's the verse. When two comes together, God is present. It takes two because that contribution gives momentum. And momentum is the key component of energy. They can only describe light as a traveling substance, not something that stays still. And anything that travels has momentum behind it. Momentum is what governs the principalities of the realistic. So if I cannot present to someone, the fuck is this nigga doing? That's crazy. My bad, this nigga just walking around with a fucking sword, chopping, tree leaves and shit. But if momentum could not be added in the equation, even quantum physically, I'm not someone who gets deep into quantum physics, even though I'm very, very educated on quantum physics and things of that nature. But I deal more with the metaphysical, what's in between the lines, the concept that elaborates on the imaginative, because that's what's most important to me spiritually. And in that momentum, or could that momentum construct something that becomes someone's reality? My question to those who claim to see aliens or who have been abducted, and those who have claimed to have seen an alien, is, can you present this alien to me or anyone else? And have you done it? And if not, why haven't you? And in me asking that, I can almost guarantee that that answer is going to be evasive. It's going to be an evasive answer. And that I cannot deal with, because it does not deal with the higher intellectual. It does not deal with the higher, or it does not raise my consciousness. And that's why I say a lot of these so-called conscious people, or conscious brother, they hit a glass ceiling. They hit a glass ceiling in their knowledge. From my understanding, the presentation of aliens were presented to the world through a intellectual service known as the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI. They presented aliens to the world in order to corner cult members who are occultic leaders, people who are occultic leaders. The FBI put out the information of so-called aliens and the sighting of aliens so that they can put these cult leaders in corners. Because if a cult leader, if he even fathoms the thought and understanding of an extraterrestrial or an alien, and he present this to his people, that would immediately and intelligently tell the Federal Bureau of Investigation that this person is a false hypnotist. He's a false realistic person, and he has some type of negative or bad intent to these people. It's usually a sexual intent. So they put out the information of aliens, and they made aliens apparel to the media. They brought aliens to life to the media in order to trap these cult leaders. And a lot of these cult leaders, you even go back to Aleister Crowley, and you look at his teachings and things of that nature. A lot of these cult leaders, they talk about aliens and they hit on aliens. Zachariah Simpson, who so-called introduced the world to the understanding of the Anunnaki. These cult leaders, they attach their teachings to the understanding of aliens. And if they do so, they have successfully fallen within the trap of this intel that exists, thus allowing them to case these cult leaders up. because they know that extraterrestrials or aliens do not exist. They are not real. You have these crackers like Zachariah Ascension, these crackers that try to attach the true, pure understanding, the utmost intellect of my ancestors to an extraterrestrial credibility. They say that the Anunnaki were aliens that come from another planet because of their intelligence, because of how tall they were, the knowledge they had. But when you're dealing with a higher sense of consciousness, a higher sense of understanding, you know that things that you can see impacts your immediate reality. And they can mold and shape your understanding, thus subconsciously contributing to the education of your intuition. And your intuition is what guides you spiritually. It guides you spiritually into a comprehensive, meditative state. It lets you know that your destiny is real. It validates and confirms all these other things. And it starts with what you can bear witness to, things that you can see. That's what it starts with. And in their understanding, aliens do not exist. You have brothers like Dr. Malachi Z. York who expound so much on extraterrestrial life and extraterrestrial war. And he had these drawings, these very beautiful black drawings. The only drawings of these people that he has imaginatively fathomed into his doctrine. And this has persuaded a lot of people. I was listening to one of his lectures on YouTube. He's a very intelligent brother, very intelligent. And he's what I consider one of the supreme scientists in the Al-Kebunaki 6 ether knowledge. And someone asked him very directly, how do these aliens look? How do they look? And of course, his answer was very evasive. And you look at the drawings and things that he had posted of these beautiful, holy people, and he labeled these drawings as being extraterrestrial people. And I'm like, that looked like a nigga I know down the street. It's not a fucking alien. That nigga down the street, not an alien. That looked like a chick I, just seen in the store the other day. Not a fucking alien. These concepts, these concepts that this brother brought to the world is to attract a certain people, because attraction is what makes this reality the truth, because everything has been tainted. All knowledge, all education, all spiritual insight has been so tainted to the point where this new age, the earth has reset itself. So 10 percenters, what Clarence 13S called the 10 percenters, these 10 percenters have come to a certain understanding. And in that truthful understanding, they tend to throw in their own perspectives, their own knowledge, as an attempt to make attraction, those who attract themselves to that knowledge and understanding. become real. And that's intelligence. You have to give that prop. Because the truth is to be found in this tainted age that we live in. Over time, the lie could become a truth. A lie could become a truth. If there's 6 billion people on this planet, 6 or 7 billion people on this planet, and I told a lie, right? And 6.5% or 5.9% of those 9 billion people, 6.5 billion people out of 7 billion, or 5.9 billion out of 6 billion people attracted to that truth or attracted to that lie, then that lie has now become the truth. And it is the truth. Because the truth is lost into the DNA. And what you consider to be a lie, or what one knows in this reality to be a lie, genetically could be an actual truth. And this is why the intuition and perspective and revelation is so important in supreme and higher consciousness. Because the truth has been locked in your DNA. And it has been identified in this modern reality as the lie. So a lot of people hesitate on speaking their truths. Because they're afraid that no one is going to identify with it and it's going to be a lie. It is going to be considered a lie. When in all actuality, it is a genetic and subatomic and atomic truth. So however many people gravitates to that so-called lie, if more than 3/4 of the world gravitated to that lie, that so-called lie, that lie is the actual truth simply because you have persuaded people. You have touched people and you have caused the bonding of people. This is what persuaded the progression of the University of Kemet, Egypt being a university. A lot of people don't know that pyramids, a lot of those pyramids that sit on the Nile River, they were built from the top downwards. From the top downwards, a lot of these pyramids. And if you expounded on that, you will study the Nile River and the flow and the movement of the Nile River, which flows in the opposite direction as the Earth's magnetic poles, which flows from north to south. But the Nile River flows from south to north. This is a fact, scientific fact. The complete opposite. And if you use imagination along with empathy, along with your telepathic application and intelligence, you will be able to build a pyramid from the top downwards if you understand the current that sits on the Nile. If you understood that current, and you can intelligently rearrange the Earth's minerals to build that pyramid. You can construct a monument from the top downwards. It'll be similar to taking a piece of cardboard and sliding it down a flight of stairs, right? If you took a piece of cardboard, just take a piece of cardboard and stand at the top of that flight of stairs and let that piece of cardboard go and watch as it slides, without interruption. It'll slide right all the way down that flight of stairs. Now imagine, since the current is moving from south to north, imagine if that piece of cardboard, or you stood at the bottom of that flight of stairs and you caught that current. You will be able to slide that piece of cardboard from the bottom upwards. This is the strength of the Nile River, the currents. And you study things like the telluric grid, right? The telluric grid is responsible for earthquakes and slave ships from Africa to America. Earthquakes and slave ships moved in the same exact paths. They're same exact paths. I live in Florida. A lot of hurricanes that come off of the coast of Africa, strong, powerful hurricanes, they tend to not hit Florida and go upwards into North America. Not North America, but the northern region of the United States of America. Because there's a sharp pull. There's a pull that pertains to the telluric grid. And that pull impacts the path, or it persuades the path of these hurricanes, right? I try to give people the understanding of these push and pulls of energy that exists throughout the earth by telling them to close their eyes. If you close your eyes, right, go outside, go into a big field, right? Something like a soccer field. Just experiment with this one day. Close your eyes while you're in that field. Close your eyes and tell yourself that you're going to walk straight ahead, 200 meters, or 200 feet, 100 feet. Imagine where you're going to go in distance before you close your eyes. Okay, I'm looking at the spot that I want to be in. When I close my eyes and walk towards that spot, I should end up in that spot. Close your eyes and walk 200-300 feet ahead of yourself. I guarantee you that you will not end up in the spot that you sought to end up in. Because when you're dealing with darkness and when you close your eyes, you're dealing with melatonin. You're dealing with your imagination, which persuades serotonin as well. You're going to be pushed and pulled, is what I mean. You're going to be pushed. It's going to knock you off track. So when you open your eyes, you're going to end up way off track from where you started and where you desire to end up. Just go out in the field and tell yourself you're going to walk a straight line ahead of yourself 20, 30 feet. Doesn't even have to be in the hundreds, 20, 30 feet. I'm going to walk 20, 30 feet ahead of myself, and I'm in a straight ahead of myself, and I'm going to end up in this destination. If you close your eyes and did this, it's not going to happen. Once you open your eyes, you're going to end up in a completely different destination. And that's because there are pushes and pulls that are metaphysically applying themselves to the dimensional understanding of what you consider to be physical reality. Another example is to squat down, go on concrete, a very solid surface, and squat down. You could be in your home, squat down and stand on the balls of your feet. Without practice, you're going to lose balance. If you squat down and close your eyes, you have to close your eyes. You're in the middle of your home on a hard surface. If you squat down and stood on the balls of your feet, it's going to be difficult for you to hold your balance. If you squat down, stood on the balls of your feet, and closed your eyes, it may be different if you have your eyes open. You probably could keep your balance a little better. But if you close your eyes and squat down and stood on the balls of your feet, it's going to be difficult for you to keep your balance. And this is because these are pushes and pulls of energy that is asserted throughout Earth's magnetic, not even magnetic, but the telluric grid of the Earth's atmosphere and things of that nature. This is how to bear witness to these energies that you manipulate daily by using your senses, you know. So what you bear witness to is important, is what I'm hitting on the most. Things that you can see with your own two eyes. And that is why aliens do not exist. A lot of us may have seen, these so-called UFOs. These could be man-made, you know. A UFO could be fucking man-made. But have you seen an alien? Have you been abducted by an alien? And if so, can you present this alien to someone else? That's what's most important. This alien that you so-called seen, can you present it to someone else? That is what's going to make it real and undeniable to this reality. No matter if you're the only two people that's seen it. That is what's going to make it real to this reality. But it's God Molecular, here to spread the religion of Mofadai, which is the religion of no religion, here to dismantle and disassemble all religion by the year 2034. I thank you guys for tuning in. I come as Amen, reincarnated this new age, that of the 226th dynasty, was stemmed from King Solomon, who had a descendant by the name of Haile Selassie I, who occupied that of the 225th dynasty. 3 salutes. Ready? Go. And that is in tribute to Amen, as he was known as the most high and the most logical being or deity at his time. I come as him reincarnated to usher in the new age of Aquarius, also known as the age of the Six, as we have transpired from the age of the Pisces, also known as the age of the Seven, and that is as of August 21st, 2017, titled Day of the Great American Eclipse. I thank you guys for tuning in. I thank you guys for joining. It's God Molecular. Peace.